Thank you for engaging with NAEYC Accreditation of Early Learning Programs Resource Webinar, a new approach to Standard 6. This webinar is to help programs gather a comprehensive look at qualifications, competencies, professionalism, and supports within the streamlined model of accreditation. My name is Megan Hickey, and I am a Quality Improvement Specialist in the Program Support and Quality Improvement Department of the NAEYC Accreditation of Early Learning Programs. The definition of Standard 6 teachers is that the program employs and supports a teaching staff that has the educational qualifications, knowledge, and professional commitment necessary to promote children's learning and development and to support families' diverse needs and interests. The rationale behind this definition is that children benefit most when their teachers have high levels of formal education and specialized early childhood professional preparation. Teachers who have specific preparation, knowledge, and skills in child development and early childhood education are more likely to engage in warm, positive interactions with children, offer richer language experiences, and create higher quality learning environments. Opportunities for teaching staff to receive supportive supervision and to participate in ongoing professional development ensure that their knowledge and skills reflect the profession's ever-changing knowledge base. Remember, though Standard 6 is called teachers, NAEYC runs a programmatic accreditation system, so the program is assessed on how they support their teaching staff. The current Standard 6 topic areas are Topic 6A, Preparation, Knowledge, and Skills of Teaching Staff, and Topic 6B, Teachers' Dispositions and Professional Commitment. Topic 6A encompasses formal educational qualifications, core knowledge and competencies, and orientation of staff, which are covered across 12 criteria. Topic 6B includes continuous learning and professional development opportunities, reception to feedback, and professionalism, covered across 2 criteria. It is a fact that many programs struggle to meet NAEYC Standard 6. However, there is a lot of misunderstanding, myths, and distortions about why this is the case. Some of the myths that programs have about Standard 6 are that programs cannot earn NAEYC accreditation unless 75% of their teachers have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education, that Standard 6 is only about teacher education qualifications, and that programs cannot hire staff that do not meet the standards and can only hire staff with ECE degrees. However, the facts that contradict these myths are that criteria 6A05 and 6A06 address teaching staff qualifications and are always assessed criteria, but are not required. Also, Standard 6 includes educational qualifications, knowledge and competencies, and professional commitment, not just educational qualifications alone. Standard 6 addresses both the minimal and ideal levels of educational qualifications desirable to support a program of excellence. Many programs all over the United States report the same problems driving their inability to meet their own aspirations for high-quality staff and programming. First is the affordability. Parents alone with tuition cannot bear the cost of quality care, including the cost of qualified staff. And if programs alone cannot afford to pay their qualified staff what they are worth, staff will move to publicly funded education settings or leave the ECE field. When looking at who will pay for the cost of quality care, this becomes a public policy issue, so it is by definition out of the control of the individual programs. In the framework of NAEYC accreditation, there is another problem reflected in the substance of Standard 6. It is hard to pass because there are not many criteria in the standard. There are currently only 14 criteria in Standard 6, and 2 of those are about formal education, 1 for teachers and 1 for assistant teachers. To meet the 80% pass rate, if your staff do not meet the 2 formal education qualification criteria, your program does need to pass most of the other criteria, so there is little margin for other failures. When looking at the educational qualifications within the NAEYC accreditation system, there are 2 points at which candidacy requirements and criteria assess staff qualifications. Education qualifications for teachers, assistant teachers, and program administrators are assessed in 10A02, 6A05, and 6A06. Currently, the formal education qualifications are assessed at 2 different levels in the accreditation process. There is a minimum level for teachers and assistant teacher qualifications that must be met for a program to be accepted for a site visit, as you can see in the current candidacy requirements. The more stringent levels of education must be present across staff in order to meet the related criteria in 6A05 and 6A06. Currently, the Program Administrator criteria 10A02 is a required criteria, so it was required at both candidacy level and to meet criteria 10A02. However, 6A05 and 6A06 are not required criteria for programs. What we find at NAEYC when we're assessing programs at these levels are that at the candidacy requirement level, almost all programs meet the candidacy requirements and are eligible for a site visit. However, when assessing criteria 6A05 and 6A06, almost all programs struggle to meet these 2 criteria. The specific knowledge and competency areas referenced in 6A07 through 6A12 are listed on the screen and are aligned with core competencies that must be taught in accredited higher education programs. In other words, staff who have associate's degrees or bachelor's degrees from accredited ECE college programs will meet all of these criteria as well. But they can also be acquired or enhanced in CDA programs, CEUs, workshops, or through coaching and mentoring experiences. These are all things that programs can do to support staff, even if they're not meeting 6A05 and 6A06. The specific knowledge and competency areas in criteria 6A07 through 6A12 look at the knowledge of child development and teaching relevant to the ages of children staff work with, how staff use program curriculum and child assessment resources, support in working with children and families of diverse races, cultures, and languages, working with children who have special needs, communication and collaboration skills that prepare staff to participate as a member of a team, and teachers who supervise other staff have training in leadership, adult supervision, and mentoring. Most of the professional development requirements in accreditation are not about formal education. They are about competencies and developing a sense of professionalism. Criterion 6B01 addresses aspects of functioning as a professional. When defining what is an early childhood professional, NAEYC assesses teaching staff who identify and behave as professionals and engage in professional activities, know ethical practices in early childhood education and perform ethically, engage in continuous learning to maintain current professional knowledge and competencies, join and participate in professional organizations, participate in advocacy efforts in the field, and lend professional expertise to other efforts in the community. Revised Standard 6 in the Streamlined Model of Accreditation presents a more comprehensive, program-centered approach to developing and maintaining high-quality professional staff in school and center-based settings. The proposed new title for Standard 6 is Staff Competencies, Preparation, and Support to reflect this change. Whereas the current Standard 6 had 2 topic areas, the revised Standard 6 in the Streamlined Model of Accreditation has 4 topic areas. Programs will be assessed on a supportive work environment, professional identity and recognition, qualifications of teaching and administrative staff, and ongoing professional development. The increased scope of Standard 6 has been expanded to include best practices related to program administrators, including a new best practice, whereas The program administrator can still be one position, or it can be separated into two positions, a pedagogical administrator and an operational administrator. The increased scope of Standard 6 also includes practices that support staff, such as different personnel practices, features of the program's environment, and professional resources. We've also included new best practices related to professionalism and a supportive work environment, such as that the program supports field experiences for local higher ed sites, and the program provides suitable seating for both staff inside and outside. While we haven't changed how we're assessing best practices within the Streamlined Model of Accreditation, we have moved items from Standard 10 and 9 into Standard 6 to fully assess all staff aspects, not just the teaching staff. When looking at the simplified assessment of professional qualifications, we will now assess the ideal professional qualifications for administrators, teachers, and assistant teachers. Administrators are no longer a required criteria, and the assistant teachers and teachers will remain as a no longer required criteria. There is no minimum level of formal education assessed. Programs will not be assessed at candidacy and then within the assessment items. They will only be assessed once in the assessment items. There is also no alternative pathway, no plan in place, and no working on. Staff will either meet the qualifications or not. And there are many more items in Standard 6 assessing staff competencies, professionalisms, and program supports. Within the new Standard 6, there's an emphasis on the program's role in fostering staff competencies, preparation, and professionalism through very intentional program supports. When looking at the program's role in ensuring staff core knowledge and competencies, we look at the candidacy requirement for educational qualifications for program administrators and teaching staff. That if the criteria related to qualification of teaching staff members are not met, then the program must describe in a detailed professional development plan how ensuring that early childhood expertise is being provided to guide curriculum and learning. So this is especially critical when staff have not had formal college preparation, but it also is important for all programs as a means of maximizing the value of continuing education for all staff. Programs should have a professional development plan and is evidence for 11 assessment items in the revised Standard 6. In the new Standard 6, the professional development plan contributes heavily to a program's ability to meet Standard 6. What is a program-wide professional development plan? To create a program professional development plan, a program needs to identify program needs and goals regarding staff knowledge and competencies, assess individual staff knowledge and competencies, develop individualized professional development plans for all staff, identify community education and training resources, identify program supports for all staff to access for resources, and review and revise regularly. When defining the program's role in supporting professionalism, NAEYC looks that the program assures that teaching staff continuously seek to improve their performance and competency as professionals through encouragement and support to engage their local ECE community, having an ethical workplace, having opportunities for self-reflection, having feedback from supervisors, peers, and families, and being assessed through annual individualized professional development plans. Topic 6A encompasses the program's policies and procedures that support staff well-being, empowerment, and overall quality of work life. Here are some samples of new assessment items in Standard 6, such as there is a private or semi-private adult-friendly space in the program facility where staff can take a break away from children. We look that programs show the program's written employee benefit package includes health insurance. And we will assess that staff can readily access professional planning and curriculum resources. Topic 6B, professional identity and recognition, focuses on how the program promotes and supports teaching and administrative staff to identify and be recognized as members of the early childhood education field. It is important for teaching and administrative staff to have strong identification with, accountability to, and involvement in the early childhood education field as they work to better serve young children and their families. Some examples of language in topic area 6B is that teachers communicate with families in a culturally sensitive and professional way, and that programs show or describe an example of how staff have participated in advocacy or professional learning activities that is connected with other learning professionals in your community. Topic 6C, Qualifications of Teaching and Administrative Staff, describes the educational qualifications expected of teachers, assistant teachers, operational administrators, and pedagogical administrators. So the example on your screen is that you show that all of your assistant teachers and teacher aides have a minimum of a CDA or 12 higher education credits in early childhood education. As you'll see here, there is no longer a working on option for staff. Topic 6D, Ongoing Professional Development, addresses professional staff openness to continual learning by adding their knowledge and skills, especially with respect to core competencies. It encompasses ways that programs support staff opportunities for ongoing professional development through intentional planning, provision of resources, and creation of learning opportunities in the workplace. Some of the language used in this standard is to show that your program-wide professional development plan describes how teaching staff have access to trainings that increase their cultural competence and reduce implicit or explicit bias, and to show that mentoring and coaching experiences are included in your written program-wide professional development plan. When looking at the new expanded Standard 6, programs will find it easier to pass. Because in each standard, programs need an 80% criteria or items to pass Standard 6, in the current system, there's only 14 criteria, so programs must meet 12 out of 14. With the new number of site visit items in the Streamlined Accreditation Model, programs need to meet 35 out of 44 items, leaving more room for error on the program's end. We are encouraging feedback from programs regarding our new Standard 6 and how we've expanded the professionalism in the field. You can read and rate the new Standard 6 on the NAEYC website at www.naeyc.org/academy/streamlined and look at Standard 6. Thank you for viewing today's webinar, and for more information, please contact NAEYC's Early Learning Program Support Team at 800-424-2460, option